And if you don't love the brand of Paddy Pimblett, it's fun, it's exciting. He's a guy who brings it. Scousers don't get knocked out. We'll put his name to the test.
He was once dismissed as nothing more than a UFC promotional project. Charismatic and flashy, Paddy looked like no bigger threat than your average amateur.
I want a blonde that Paddy.
To his opponents, a fight with him seemed like easy money. After all, who would have thought that a guy with a quirky haircut and a funny accent could even sniff the top 10 of the lightweight division?
He's a scouser. He's just fun. He looks like he's having a good old time when he's out there, and he can back it up.
You've never seen your own blood.
Can't believe you've actually got a suit on, lad.
So what's your prediction then for this?
I'm gonna win.
Okay. By submission, knockout, TKO?
But what do they have to say now? The fighter nobody ever took seriously has become one of the loudest names in the division. Behind him stand millions of fans, the respect of fighters, and even the very best now call for a fight with him. It's time to break down exactly how Paddy forced the world to respect him, his game, his style, and his name. Pimblett has walked an incredible road to the top, and he's earned every bit of your attention. So sit back, relax, and let me present to you Paddy Pimblett, the fighter no one took seriously.
What's your name?
Paddy Pimblett.
Okay, do you have a fight nickname?
My coach calls me Paddy the Paddy Pimblett.
Paddy the Paddy.
Paddy grew up in Liverpool, a city with a hard edge and a deep love for football. From an early age, he showed interest in martial arts. His father, a fight enthusiast himself, took him to a gym during his teenage years, where Paddy first tried taekwondo. But it wasn't enough. It lacked the brutality, the grit, the blood he craved.
And I started having a little watch of it, and the first one I stayed up and watched live was Belfort versus Franklin. Belfort knocked him out in about a minute. And I went for a run at 6 in the morning after it. And then from then on, it was just like, oh, I need to start going here.
The moment he discovered mixed martial arts, Paddy struck gold. He progressed rapidly, showing raw talent and an obsession with the sport. His amateur career was short but action-packed. He had only a handful of fights before running into obstacles. Like most up-and-coming fighters, Paddy struggled financially. He had to balance grueling training sessions with work just to support himself. The lack of money made it nearly impossible to sustain a long amateur career. So, despite being very young, Pimblett took the leap into the professional ranks. His training was brutal: boxing, kickboxing, grappling, and wrestling, pushing him to his physical and mental limits. Paddy had to give everything just to keep up with seasoned opponents. His debut came in the super featherweight division, where he often relied on his massive frame to make up for technical gaps. Amazingly, he was already walking around at nearly 180 pounds, looking far bigger than his opponents on fight night. But that advantage couldn't carry him forever. Riding a 4-fight win streak, Paddy was humbled, losing to basic wrestler Cameron Else in just 35 seconds. That defeat became a turning point. Pimblett rebuilt himself into a far more technical fighter. The transition paid off. He quickly became champion in Cage Warriors and full contact contender, setting the stage for the opportunity of a lifetime.
I got offered 2 UFC contracts before I actually signed. I got offered the contract when I was 21, and I got offered the contract when I was 23, and I didn't actually sign until I was 26.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the reason for that?
I knew I weren't ready, to be honest. We spoke about it with my coaches, and I wasn't. I was still a child fighting men. And I know for a fact if I would have come into the UFC at that time, I probably would have got ragdolled by men, where I was a very small fighter. I wasn't big at all, and I had a lot of holes in my game, a lot of things that I needed to work on.
UFC brass weren't blinded by his patchy resume. They didn't see him as a future champion or a top prospect. To them, he was a flashy, entertaining name who could pull fans and sell pay-per-views in the UK. But the Scouser turned them down. Paddy was still struggling with money, and instead of grabbing the UFC ticket right away, he chose to keep grinding in discomfort. That choice forged him into the fighter we know today. He learned to value hard work, to endure setbacks, and to never quit. His self-belief and indomitable will to win were born from those early trials. The true launch point into UFC waters came after a statement victory in a Cage Warriors main event, where Paddy dismantled his opponent and formally declared himself ready to test his skills against the very best in the world.
Like, I felt like I had a sense of I had to do it because it was in the Echo, because I was the main event. People had all bought tickets to come and watch me. Know what I mean? So felt like I had to do it, even though I was injured, and I was that close from winning. Know what I mean? With a rear naked choke. Even though I had one hand.
Paddy made his UFC debut with a spectacular victory, living up to the expectations set by the UFC bosses. But the promotion wasn't in a hurry to push Pimblett. The contract he was offered was far from glamorous, and even while fighting on the biggest stage in the world, Paddy still faced financial struggles.
You knew it was time to shine, yeah?
Yeah, always, lad. It's gotta be.
Is that probably the perfect way to debut, you think?
Yeah, 100%. Either that or run out in 5 seconds, get a flying knee like Masvidal, but yeah, that was perfect. Showed everyone that I can come through adversity as well, because he did catch you with a nice left hook. I need to stop letting people punch me in the face, lad.
Because as you know, the UFC starting deal's 10 and 10. I signed for a pay cut at first. My first 2 fights are 10 and 10 and 12 and 12. And then obviously after I won my second fight, I got a new deal and it went up.
For context, in regional promotions where he headlined, Pimblett would earn upwards of $50,000 just for showing up, plus win bonuses and knockout awards. In the UFC, the numbers didn't look nearly as kind. The Scouser understood the message. The UFC didn't see him as a serious prospect, didn't view him as a championship material. That meant he had to build himself up the hard way, climbing the rankings with wins over big names and earning fan support all on his own.
Out here, the energy was unbelievable. This crowd lost their mind. People would rather, I know I'd rather me mate cry on my shoulder than go to his funeral next week. So please, let's get rid of this stigma and men start talking.
One turning point in his relationship with the fans came after his emotional speech at UFC London. Following a victory, Paddy opened up about a painful subject, mental health and self-harm among them. That mostly showed a different side of him and resonated deeply with many. Yet instead of universal praise, he became a target for mockery and hate. Critics accused him of chasing attention, of trying too hard to play the good guy. To them, he was still the goofy kid with a funny haircut, a clown, not a contender.
I didn't save anyone's life, lad. I just said what anyone in my position should say. I feel like people who are in the public eye, anything like that, they should speak about, you know what I mean? Because people do sit up and take notice. Things like that, that's proper close to my heart now, because Ricky took his own life.
So while Paddy won over a loyal fan base among fighters, he was still a punchline. Every opponent believed he'd crumble the moment he faced a ranked contender. But Dana White, ever the mastermind, saw the opportunity for a perfect play, a move where no one could lose. Paddy Pimblett was booked against a monster of the old era. To any true MMA fan, Tony Ferguson needs no introduction. A living legend of the sport, but Ferguson was in the twilight of his career, stuck in a brutal losing streak, desperate for a big-name fight to remind the world why they once called him El Cucuy. Dana understood the stakes perfectly. If Ferguson stopped his skid against Paddy, he'd reclaim his place as one of the most feared figures in the lightweight division.
Your own country doesn't even like you, dude.
Lad, just because everyone likes you here, lad, it's gonna be funny when you're on the floor asleep on Saturday night.
I don't even fucking care about you, dude. I
know you don't. I don't care about you. You're just another obstacle in the way, lad.
You care about me blocking you on Instagram.
Saturday, lad.
That's what you care about. You care about the most stupidest shit.
No, I don't.
I'm worried about everybody else.
Lad, you must care because you blocked me. I'm not that much of a little pussy to block someone on Instagram.
Nobody would blame Pimblett for losing. After all, he was standing across from a monster. But if the young, unpolished Scouser somehow survived Ferguson's hunt, or even pulled off the win, he'd instantly be stamped as a dangerous prospect with huge upside.
Dog, you know it. I'm the boogeyman, I'm El Cucuy. And what you do is when you piss off the boogeyman, you're gonna get relentless back.
Tony Ferguson's an animal. An animal.
like that.
He's the scariest guy at 155 in my word.
I agree.
In my world, because he don't get tired.
Yeah.
That Cowboy fight freaked me out. Cowboy looked like Tony had bricks in his gloves.
Yeah.
His face was all busted up. Tony didn't look like he had a scratch on him, and Tony wasn't even tired.
Fighters who take out the legends of their time almost always carve out a bright future. Paddy rose to the occasion and defeated Ferguson, earning his place in the spotlight.
Surprised that he got out that first round, lad, yeah. Know what I mean? I hit him with some punches there, a lot of unanswered ones, and I thought that maybe the ref could have stepped in, but give Mark Smith his due, he's one of the best refs in the world, so, and Tony come back out in the second and third raring to go, so as I say, it could have been stopped, but it never, but I still won every round, and even though I'm a little bit disappointed to get the finish, I am happy with my performance at the same time.
But even then, the critics struck again. The very same experts who had buried him before the fight now dismissed the win, claiming Ferguson was too old, too broken, a shadow of himself. Instead of respect, Pimblett received another wave of negativity. The only ones who truly stood by him were the fans, and for Paddy, that was enough. Their love and belief fueled him for even greater achievements.
He's a scouser. He's just fun. He looks like he's having a good old time when he's out there, and he can back it up. So that fight was big for him because that fight moves him into elite status, right? He goes from Jared Gordon, and now, a couple other fights, now bam, Bobby Green, bam, someone's going to be a big guy.
Paddy's victory over Bobby Green was nothing short of phenomenal. He practically put his opponents to sleep, showcasing the massive differences in skill levels. At this point, it was crystal clear Pimblett had more than earned a shot against a true top contender. The hype around the Englishman had reached unprecedented heights. Yet for most fighters, Paddy was still seen as easy money, and like a hungry predator, Michael Chandler pounced on the opportunity.
Obviously, we saw how I finished Dan Hooker in 2.5 minutes, and then a couple fights later, back up against the wall against Tony Ferguson, who was ranked. I thrive in these moments, and I believe Saturday night will be very similar to the last two.
Coming off multiple losses against top names, Chandler was desperate to prove he still belonged among the lightweight elite. To him, Pimblett wasn't a threat, he was a highlight reel waiting to happen.
When I hit people, they go to sleep. I don't need a jingle to try to sell myself. You know who has jingles? Second-rate car insurance salesmen, ambulance chasers, and fast food. I'm the real deal, and the real deal don't need a jingle.
But Chandler became the perfect example of what happens when you underestimate Paddy Pimblett. At press conferences, Michael laughed, joked, and boldly predicted a knockout. But when the cage door closed, it was Paddy who stayed calm, focused, and determined. In the end, the only prediction that came true was Pimblett's.
Everyone thinks that I'm gonna get knocked out because I leave me chin high, but I told you, this chin's made of granite, lad. I'm not getting knocked out. I've never been knocked out before, but Mike has, and I'll do it again tomorrow or Saturday.
And now, Pimblett has become one of the biggest names in the lightweight division. He's in demand like never before. Fighters ranked in the top 10, even the champion himself, are calling for a shot at him.
If they put him against Paddy, I think Paddy beats him easy now.
From ridicule, hate, and constant doubt, Pimblett has fought his way into becoming one of the UFC's brightest stars. And make no mistake, he's not slowing down anytime soon.
The mushrooms and the helmets that he called out Dustin, he called out Justin, he called out Armin, and he called out Charles.
Obviously, you train to fight the best, so I'm training at the minute to fight Islam Makhachev. But he mightn't even be the champion by the time I get there. So we're just going to have to see what happens. You've got to let it all play out, haven't you? And whoever's in front of me, that's who I fight. Whoever the UFC send me a contract with their name on, that's who I fight. And that'll be whoever I fight next. Whoever the UFC send me a contract with their name on, I'll never turn a fight down.
So, what do you think? What's next for Paddy Pimblett? Does he have what it takes to conquer the very top? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you later.